About a year ago, I had to make the hardest decision of my life. One day, I was riding my horse George. We were hacking around the fields. I was riding him barebacked. We were also home when he fell over and hurt his legs. He already had arthritis. I got really worried. It took me about 15 minutes to help him stand up again. I walked him back home and told my mum immediately. Days passed and George was fine. Again, I took him out in the fields for a gallop. It was so good. We got home, and as I was walking him out to the field, he fell over again. This time, he really couldn't get up. So we had to make a call to the vet. He came within 10 minutes. It took us ages to get him up. The vet advised us to leave him in the stable for the night so he can rest. The vet also gave him some medication. The next morning, me and my dad were coming down to the yard to check the horses. As we drove past George's stable, I couldn't see him. I got out the car and ran to the stable. George was lying down. My dad came running and he said to me, "Stay there, I'm calling the vet." Whilst my dad was making the call, I sat down next to George and comforted him. When my dad came back, I asked if he was going to be okay. My dad hugged me and said he didn't know. The vet came out and looked at George and took some tests. He asked if he could speak to me. He told me that George isn't well and I can either give him some medication so he will live a bit longer or he has to be put down right now. I broke down into tears and thought about it. Me and Dad decided the best thing was to put him down straight away so that he wouldn't be in pain. My mum and brother came to the yard and they were very upset. The vet injected him with a needle which would slowly stop his heart beating. I stayed with him all through this horrible time. Then the vet said he's gone. I laid next him and just cried for ages. After, I got my other horse Rocky and took him to see George so that he would know what happened. He sniffed him and neighed. George is now buried at the stables in his favourite place to graze. He will never be forgotten.